So you know how movies always like tell you the truth and they hide things in there.
The older I get, you told me that several years ago, and it weirds me out.
Well, now you see like different tech and things like that exist. Okay, so this one's like back in
Minority
time.
Report. Travis wants it so bad.
Not tech, but Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Right? They have that huge ice wall. And it protects...
I've never seen Game of Thrones. Can you explain this a little more?
Yeah. So there's a huge ice wall. And when I say like huge, like 300 stories.
And so they can't get over it or anything like that?
Yeah. So like people try and climb it, but like you can knock them off. So they have the Night's Watch, which is it's like a group of guys that run the ice wall and protect them from these like monsters.
Well, they work for the ice wall? Or
they work like at the ice wall.
Okay. Yeah. And they don't want people going into the ice wall or coming from the ice wall to the people?
They don't want people that live on the other side of the ice wall coming in.
Okay. Gotcha.
White Walkers. They're dangerous. But you think about...
All white people are dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And they end up with a dragon. It's nuts. So all things that kind of tell the truth, you look at that huge ice wall, and then you look at like the elevation of Antarctica. Antarctica's elevation is like the highest in the world. And you look at that, and it's just like a huge wall. So, are they telling us the truth? Is Antarctica like a huge wall? Or is Antarctica like a tiny little continent?
Dude, okay, all right. You've got to see this. So, I actually, now that you're talking about, I was on I think it was on Facebook, and I found a TikTok video. And it talks about this, and I sent it to my wife. I've got it here. Hold on, let me.
TikToks.
Yeah, let me pull it up here really quick.
China tells us the truth.
Yeah.
These are all like different things that like.
Yeah.
These things that are going on in like Antarctica. And there's that like ice wall.
Dude, hold on. The pyramids and stuff are such a trip.
Yeah. Right? See, then it like ties in like flat Earth and how like our perception of like the Earth and what Antarctica is. It's really just a giant ice wall.
What's flat Earthers got?
I know, dude. I
Got some talent.
Right? See, and then it's like, images from planes and... Yeah. It's pretty...
My inner fight is coming out where I'm like... I don't know. I'm trying to be open-minded.
You think about like airplanes with travel, and then they have like emergency landings, and their emergency landings don't make any sense. And then you lay it over like a flat Earth map, and it's like, oh, their emergency landing is just like straight in between where they were. But on like the map that we have laid out, it's like they're driving and then they emergency land like way up here. Then come back. I'll find an image to show.
I see what you're saying.
So you're saying like the difference between a globe and a flat.
They have a real emergency where they land.
And you're like, why would they go to Reykjavik when they were on their way to New York?
And then they do it on a flat map, and it's like, oh, well, that's like right where they were. And they landed.
I work out with a pilot. Are you telling me that he knows that there's a flat Earth and he's just hiding it from me?
Well, I don't think you have to know that the Earth is flat to be flying around in it.
And then that gets to that point where it's like, at what altitude do you have to be at in order to see the curvature of the Earth if it is indeed round?
Also, if it's round and you're like going like super fast in an airplane, wouldn't you constantly be like turning downwards as you're flying?
Okay, this is like like I'm similar to Travis where I'm like no, there's science, right? Where it's like, okay, the reason why planes don't leave the Earth is because of gravity.
Tell me that's science.
And because as the planes are flying over the curvature of the Earth because of gravity, it's constantly pulling down on the plane.
Well, plus the thickness of the air would be different because gravity would pull. It's at sea level. There's a thicker air, and at top of Everest, it's so you have to wear oxygen, right? That's because it's thinner air, so there's less pressure as the speed of it travels over the top of the wing. There's you have to go faster and faster at the higher. So then, if you're going the same speed and you fly into the less dense air, then you'll fall until you hit that dense air again, right? And that's why you would travel.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
That was a little bit more scientific.
Married to a scientist.
I mean, the weird part about the flat Earth thing is like, I wish I could believe in it. Like, I can't even.
I'm just like, sign me up.
I'm like, the best one ever, and maybe you can show this too, is when those dudes. I watched that whole documentary, and I'm like, these are some pretty freaking good arguments.
That's like,
and these are some pretty smart people, and they're like at the end, they're like at like that waterway, they're like, all right, if we all hold these at 17 feet, and they draw their own diagram.
Yep.
And then he literally is in the radio like, hey, buddy, all right, now hold it above your head. And then the light comes through the thing. And they prove the Earth is round.
Yeah.
You have a backup experiment. You're seeing through this hole, through the next hole, and seeing the light at the backboard or at 17 feet off the water. The Earth is flat. If he's holding it up at 23 feet high and we're seeing the light, well, that's because the Earth's curved. So I should only be able to see it when it's at 17 feet. Okay, go ahead and drive down there, Enrique. You're going to hold the light there. Enrique, how high is your light?
17 feet.
I mean, it's as... we don't see you, Enrique. Lift up your light way above your head. Interesting. Interesting, yeah.
And then he goes, we're going to have to try some new experiments. And I was like, that's a human right there, dude. It's like your own experiment. He's like, no,
can't accept.
I can't accept it.
My whole thing with like flat Earth, right? I subscribe to all of them. All the
I know.
conspiracies. I love them.
I get it. Yeah,
but
it's fun.
My whole argument with that is they always do it over water.
Is it on Instagram?
And lakes.
I think it's on Facebook. I'll send it to you.
And it's not like, okay, so like Earth is a perfect sphere. Then anywhere you did like the experiment, it would make sense because the Earth's curvature. But where would water sit flat would be like a lake or whatever the little levee things that they do it over.
Right.
So they like do things where they zoom in farther than we're supposed to be able to see.
Yeah,
Across
I've
the Michigan
seen some
Lake,
stuff like that.
and it's like, well, yeah, maybe the Earth is flat in that area, and that's why there's water that's there. So the Earth's curvature is supposed to be like this, but then it's flatter between these 2 points. So then, like, yeah, you can see further, but then there's other parts that are rocky, the mountains, and you can't see as far, not because of the curvature, just because of different.
See, and I've seen some of those videos too, where like they're like it's like 300 times zoom or whatever, like something crazy, and they have it on a tripod. And I've seen some that like they get out and it tells you like the distance in which like these ships are out.
Yeah.
Based on like, and they even like will have reference points, like another boat passing that they like know the distance of how far it is, and then it shows the other boat, and it's like way out there, and you're getting like the waviness of like the air and the heat and difference between like the two different the boat and where they're at, and it's like the boat gets smaller but never dips beyond the horizon.
Yeah.
And that's like part of like we're like flat earthers are like, oh no, see that's like
well,
like
and the sun
proof.
like as it sets gets smaller, and it's like you watch a car drive down the road, the car doesn't set right, it just gets out of our perspective, so we can't see it anymore.
I feel like, and now I question it, but I mean, I'm from Oregon, so I've been to the coast many times, and I've seen huge ships like up by where Goonies was filmed, Astoria. So there'll be huge ships. They come out of the Columbia River, they're hauling grain to Japan and stuff. So it's kind of fun to be there. And it's like they cross the bar. It's like it's a sandbar because where the ocean meets the Columbia River is pretty cool because it's like a huge riptide. You have like the ocean versus like thousands and millions of gallons of water just smashing into it. And they go across this and then they take off. But as you watch them, it feels like they do kind of like disappear because they have that big white part of the, where the captain sits in the back of them.
It's your predictive programming. Yeah.
It could be. I mean, it could be. But then this is interesting though. This is an interesting thing, and you guys made me think of it. You made me think of it like, well, if it's smooth here,
right?
If the Earth was shrunk to the size of a billiard ball, and you know how smooth a billiard ball is, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The Earth would actually be smoother than that billiard ball.
Oh, really?
So that billiard ball has more imperfections and bumps on it at bigger ratios than our Earth does. And that's one of their arguments is like, well, that's because at one point it was molten 100%, and so it had billions of years to
like
literally turn in a perfect round sphere. And so even with Mount Everest and Hawaii and the deepest ocean and everything, if it was the size of a billiard ball, it would just be... Now,
all right, yeah, Earth's flat, back on it.
These could be the scientists trying to lie to us. Yeah, they play pool, and it's like air hockey.
Yeah,
it's literally a disc. They're like, yeah, it'd be smoother than this.
Yeah.
They're like, see, duh, it's round. You're like, well, that's a disc. Like, no, it's not.
Look at the angle.
Gaslight. Okay, so there's another one I found too that I wanted to show you guys. That's kind of like along the same lines, right? Because like on that previous video, like the ice wall, and then it's like all around the flat. But get this one's kind of trippy, and this one like.
Can I get a check-in percentage-wise, like we did with in our original episode?
Yeah.
Where are you at on flat Earth?
I'd say I'm probably like 50% because so many other conspiracies that I love.
Yeah.
The flat Earth is part of it.
They depend on them.
Right. Yeah. So like Earth.
He loves flat Earth. He doesn't believe in it. He loves it.
So like Earth having like an ocean above it from like the Genesis
the
story.
The
firmament. Like I love that concept. In order for that concept to be real, they'd have to have that. And then there's like photos of astronauts like doing spacewalks, and you see like a bubble come out of their suit and go up. And it's like, well, is that because what they're in is water above us, or is that because they're just filming in a freaking pool?
Yeah.
And NASA's just
gosh dang it, NASA! If they were just honest about the moon
freaking
landing.
mouse on the one you saw that one.
Oh
right?
yeah, the rocket that's
on
launching.
the rocket.
The mouse is running around.
It's like this giant flame, and the mouse like.
I'm actually like that with the moon because I would prefer that we did get to the moon and now have a moon base.
Yeah.
Similar to 2001: Space Odyssey. That's what I want. That's what I want to believe in.
Yeah. So that's where I'm probably like 50% because there's just like the Antarctica Treaty. Why is that the one thing our entire world believes in and will like hold to and honor?
That's because there's a freaking alien space station that crash landed there a billion years ago.
Well, I know that, but
or there's a hole that leads into the hollow Earth.
Yeah.
Dude, the freaking honeycomb Earth.
It strikes again.
Dude, it's real.
Okay, you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll say this. Maybe like 2-3 years ago, I was on like social media, like blasting flat earthers. just
Daniel.
Just keyboard
You
over.
guys were like going to work, being friends at night, fighting each other.
Yeah. Like I was on social media, like saying like very just mean, degrading things to flat earthers. And so now I probably should apologize if I gaslighted and like made some of you cry. I apologize. I like arguing on social media. You can ask my wife. But now, after seeing a lot of these things, I would say I'm like 20% it's either flat or 80% it's round. I still have like a lot of issues. Like my biggest one is like I'm a little bit of a nerd. And I have a telescope, and I've seen Jupiter and Mars and Saturn through my telescope.
That's a big one to me.
And so that's my hardest thing is like, if we're flat, then why are all the other planets round?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Well, our like core existence is a creation, and if those other things, planets, are actual like things that like NASA's told us they are. Or are they different things? Are they just like plasma or things like that. So
That's true, I
those things
guess.
can be round, and they're just not made the way that we think they're made. So they can be round. And
Yeah,
we can be
that's a
flat
good point. I didn't think of it that way.
If we are like God created us, right? And then placed us in a place to have experiments and stuff, but then he makes the firmament so we can't like go anywhere. And then the stars are just like wandering stars or planets, things like that. And then from our perspective, like they're round or they are round. Like that doesn't mean that like where we are has to be round as well. So that's what I've always thought of, like, well, yeah, they could be round, but where we are, like, people aren't up on Jupiter, like, people are here. And so it's flat. And I more subscribe to, like, the kind of, it's like a concave thing. So, like, Antarctica is like this huge ridge around it. And then Pangea never actually, like, broke apart. We just have water that's filled up. And so there's lower parts of Pangea that are now like across our oceans, but really we're just one giant continent.
That might make sense because there's so many like different ancient civilizations and ruins and stuff in the ocean.
Yeah. So then there's like ice, and then you have this other like whole new world that's like
but it's
the
attached to
Atlanteans.
us.
Yeah. So like our Earth we think is this big. But really, it's the size of this table. And there's a bunch of other civilizations.
That's what...
And that's why you have all these different, like, aliens, right, from other planets. Well, they're not. They're just extraterrestrial because there's more land.
Guess it depends what you mean by a
okay, hold on.
another planet.
I found this video.
That's
I was gonna show you this because I think this is what you're talking about. Here, Travis, you gotta see this too. Let me click on this one here.
You will never look at the moon the same again after watching this
Okay,
video.
this is saying this is still inside our dome.
Could the moon actually be a mirrored image of our whole Earth? Looks familiar, right?
The
I don't
narrating
believe
could be
it
This
better.
was, that clock I was telling you about
Could this
that
be
a
the
pole
land
shifts.
that Admiral Richard E.
and it
Byrd claimed to
resets where
see
we go.
when he said he saw land past Antarctica as we know it? This is the oldest working astronomical clock in the world, displayed in Prague, and it's based off a geocentric understanding of the universe, not heliocentric.
So this is where we live inside that.
Now,
big
prepare
circle
to have your mind blown.
Okay.
banger again.
Yeah, that's a good
Flat
banger.
Earth guys got that one
Flat
song.
Earth
They just
guys,
lean into it.
Yeah. Isn't this Michael Jackson?
I don't think so.
I think Michael Jackson wrote this song, dude. I don't think this is Michael Jackson.
But do you see that?
So
Hold up. Was that the moon?
Yes.
so it's reflecting
Will you rewind that? I
our
wasn't thinking.
continents. So what we see,
This is going to be hard in editing now, Travis. Gosh dang it.
Now,
Sorry.
prepare to
That's
have your
true.
mind blown.
See, there's the moon.
so this is over here is the known land.
But it never changes.
No.
But the dark side of the, like the dark spots of the moon are areas where our land is.
And then the light area is just water. And then they zoom in on it and it fits. You lay that over the flat earth like planes that have emergency landings and it works on this map.
See, there's like Africa, Europe. Isn't that crazy?
I'm not ready for this, dude.
Yeah,
See, and there's Russia,
arrogant 1%.
right? And then we know that like Russia's connected to like
promise
Alaska
you
and
will
all that
never
stuff.
Bro.
Yeah.
So-
Hold up. What?
So they're saying that that's like the disk moon reflects. So then we have this little portion of it's where the known land, but then there's all this other land that we don't. And that's where there's like land and resources and things like that.
So
that we don't-
we're seeing a different land.
yeah, but we
space.
can't make it anything in our head because it doesn't look like the map that we know. But if you look at it that way, then it lines up.
And that's like,
So then you have this.
The weird part is if you were just to get in the car, you can't really prove it wrong.
No, because you never see it. The only things you have are images from NASA.
what about the well theory of how to do the circumference of the Earth? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what that is.
So the well thing works like this. So a dude in like some part of the world has a well, and at noon on a certain day, the sun will be directly above it, so that at the bottom,
You'll see sunlight.
it's all sunlight in the whole bottom of the well, right? And then he asks his friend on that same day to measure the degrees difference in that his well. And so in his well, because they would all be perpendicular, right? Because that's how gravity would work. And so if he lives 100 miles away and it's 7 degrees, then you're like, all right, 7 degrees and there's 360 degrees, then that's the circumference of the Earth, and that's how you tell that it's round.
Well, the math works when you're like, the sun is whatever millions of miles away. But if it's actually local and it's inside and it's much smaller, then the math still works. And so if we're on a disc, we're not
You actually had an
perfectly
answer
flat.
to that? Fudge, dude.
Travis like, you gotcha.
So the like
Yeah, because if the sun,
right?
because if the sun's like these lights, then that wouldn't matter. That's what you're saying.
Right.
I'm
And
not
so
saying
it's
I believe
still-
in it, freaking connectors. I'm just saying that that's frustrating.
It's still like, it still moves around. It's just local. The sun and the moon are the same size. Like, they're millions of miles. Like, really? It's like,
I've always thought of that as like the elegant nature of the creation.
it
And then
is.
Philly's like, F
like,
that.
It is.
It's dumb.
Garbage.
No. It's still elegant,
It's too perfect.
beautiful of creation. It's just one is a daytime light bulb and the other's a nighttime light
Dude,
bulb.
do you know what it reminds me of?
We're just
so
like-
So when they line up, like, yeah, they're the same size.
We're literally
They're
like
both just light
lizards
bulbs.
inside
They're
of like a
they're
terrarium.
like, see how these fingers block each other? It's just less miraculous
Yeah.
than a giant orb. Okay. I mean, here's the funny part. It's like one of the, you ever have watched one of those movies and it's just like, I mean, it just like freaking blows your mind.
Right.
And you kind of leave and you like lay in bed and you go to bed and you're just like, and your eyes are just wide open.
Yeah.
Like what's a movie you guys have had?
I had that one with, oh God, what's the name of that one? Arrival.
Okay.
That one shook me.
What's it? Can you think of a movie that's like just shook you, or you just like thinking about it for like days later?
Yeah.
Oh. Like, I can, yeah. Probably the creator
Okay.
recently
So
with AI.
So this is my number. Well, it's probably my number 2, but it's the first one was one of the kids, so it might not count. But the first one was The Black Hole by Disney, when one of the robots died, and I was like totally shook. But the second one was like, it's almost embarrassing because it was Men in Black with Will Smith.
Wait. The first one?
Yes, at the end. Do you remember what happens at the very end of that movie?
Is that the one that's like, it rains because you're sad?
No,
that's the second one.
The cat's there, right?
Oh, on Orion's belt.
And then the freaking thing, and then you zoom in on it, and it's got a whole nother universe in the cat's
Oh, yeah.
thing. And dude, I went to bed. I'm like,
Am I on a
freaking cat's neck right now?
Yeah.
I mean, what does life even mean? I'm like questioning reality.
Well, and
and it's literally from like Men in Black with Will
Yeah.
Smith and Tommy Lee
Well,
Jones.
Dr. Seuss's The Grinch? That whole story happens on a snowflake.
Yeah. The Simpsons
Oh,
zoom
dude,
in.
I forgot about that, dude.
Isn't that crazy?
Not cool.
The Simpsons zoom out from Homer, the family, you know, the beginning, they always run in, they do a couch gag. So they run in, and then the camera pans out, and it just like zooms out their house, roof, and then like their city, and then the earth, and then space. And then it keeps zooming out, keeps zooming out, keeps zooming out, and then it starts being like little like molecules of things. And then it zooms back out again to like the couch gag. And like you just zoom in on things. We
That's
talked
just
about
normal.
it last year.
That's how The Simpsons is all the time.
Well, every
No,
episode there's a
there's
new
a different-
couch
That's
gag.
just one of the gags.
That's just one of the gags.
Where they
yeah.
zoom out so far, they're back to the couch.
I don't like it. I don't like when The Simpsons do stuff because it tends to
Simpson
come
is
true.
always. But like if you
What is
zoom
it?
in on all this stuff,
Creepy.
it's all made of the same exact thing.
It's fractals.
It's just insane. And
Everything's
so the
everything's a
image-
fractal.
Right. So
We're a
the
fractal.
universe that we live in is just a projection of something. And then you want to get like crazy off the deep end. Like we create AI that then like, right, gets so smart it can do all this stuff. Well, then it's like, well, I'm not a human. I want to experience what human life is like. What if I just created something and put myself in it, right? Tie back to that dream you had last episode where it's now put itself in and it's experiencing things.
An AI could do that dream thing I was talking about.
Right. And then we don't know, because like right
Bro,
now.
and then it could live infinite lives
'Kay.
until it became. It could. So maybe the second they created it, it became sentient because then it immediately created infinite lives that it evolved through
So right now,
And experienced.
immediately.
I'm not inside my car right now. So is the inside of my car,
Does it exist?
does it exist right now? Now,
That's like the whole-
outside of my car, because a neighbor of Daniel's might drive by, and so then they'll see the outside of my car.
Well, okay.
But the inside of my car, is it actually like
Dude, how much time do you have?
generated or whatever?
Dude, let's keep going.
Okay.
It's called on computer games, where they like create the image, whatever.
An NPC.
No,
No,
I just
it's
can't
like
think of the word.
It's like
But
when
it
like
doesn't,
if I'm on a map, right, and my character.
The only thing you're facing is the only thing active, right? Is that what
Right.
you're
Right, it's the
saying?
only active part of the game, and as you move through it, it loads up those other areas of the
Yeah.
game as you navigate throughout.
It's the old like if a tree falls in the wood, does it make a
Yes,
sound?
I was going to say that.
And
Yeah.
it's like, well, no, and it might not even be.
Guys, so I've just been reading on something. I'm sorry to interrupt because I always interrupt.
I'm gonna think of the word and then
You
I'll
think of the
interrupt
word,
you with
and I'm
the
going to
word.
go into this story. I'm going to go to this story. But this is a real thing.
It's all real.
I know, but
yeah.
this is provable-
real from Travis's point of
This
view.
is a provable thing, like right
Okay.
now. So, what you're described actually happens in our reality. So, they can take these particles, and they have a slit. They have two slits. They call it a double slit experiment. And they fire off these particles, and they go through this slit, and they go to a photoreceptive background. And so, what do you guys think would happen if you have two slits, and you fire billions of particles at this piece of paper or whatever it is, this thing, and there's two slits? Then what pattern forms on the photoreceptive backside?
You'd have
The
two slits.
You have two slits, and that is exactly what happens when you're watching. Meaning, when they're observing the experiment, that's exactly what happens. But guess what happens when you don't observe it?
Wait, whoa. You're saying that. Okay, so like if I'm conducting the experiment,
Also,
you're
resolution was the word I was thinking of, like the resolution of the image.
Yes. Like you're walking, and also the town.
Yeah.
I can even see it in my mind where there's like a blob, and then it
Yeah.
becomes like the
So
building.
the inside of
Oh,
my
yeah,
car
yeah.
right now is probably just black as a neighbor drives by, and so the
Then-
outside of my car has a
dude, that's
resolution
trippy.
on it.
Okay,
It doesn't exist because it doesn't need to.
Okay,
So
okay.
power's not. And then in order to like, we can't go faster than the speed of light, right? So the universe has put a limit on how fast we can go because it can't load faster than that.
oh my gosh, dude, no way,
That's
no way.
interesting.
Okay, you finish your thought. But like, yeah. So we've limited how fast it can like create the image. So we can't go faster than that. So we can't ever get to the edge of the map because it's put a limit on us.
Which
Which
is like
is how it really is in
yeah,
video
it's like
games.
internet like
Yes,
bandwidth
yeah.
and like your upload and download speeds.
Right.
Ah, dude.
Okay, so
So the ping of the universe is like so little because you have to be traveling that fast. Anyways, oh dude, there's so much going on right now. My head hurts. Okay, going back to the experiment. You're saying, and I think I know where you're going with this just by how you said it. So you're saying that these particles that are being fired in this experiment know that they're being observed.
I don't know if it's the particles that know it, but observing it changes it.
changes the outcome.
So if you're watching the experiment, then it will behave the way you guys both said it. If I have two slits and I fire a billion particles at it, the ones that get through will form a pattern on the back that resembles the two slits.
What happens when it's not being observed?
It behaves as
there's
if...
like 8 of them.
Yeah, as if there's no slits. It just goes through.
No. It has a weird thing, but instead of only 2, it's like there's 8 of them. There's 8 lines. Because it's like they're confused because they aren't being observed.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But that's supposing that
we're way beyond my
particles...
ability to understand anything.
I was going to say, there's a video and it shows how they...
Yeah, it's called the double slit experiment, and we should put a link to it.
Yeah, I'll put some stuff in here, and maybe if we can find some images too. But this is what I'm saying though, is that the fact that the experiment is different because of its being observed supposes that the particles have intelligence and that they know when they're being observed, and when they're not being observed, they're behaving differently.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the actual thing I'll read. And so
it hurts my head.
No.
My head hurts.
So are we made out of particles or are we made out of waves, meaning like vibrations, right?
Yeah.
So the double slit experiment demonstrates that both things are true. It involves shining a light through 2 narrow slits and observing the resulting interference pattern on a screen. Light behaves both as a particle and a wave. So if you observe it, it acts like a particle. If you don't observe it, it acts like a wave.
And then that's why
a wave goes like this. So it's like a particle is like one thing and it hits the slit or it doesn't hit the slit.
Yeah.
A wave is like this. Think of like a rock in a pond and it kind of expands out like this. So when that happens, it hits the slit, and then as it continues through, then it continues to expand past the slit.
Wave out.
Oh, okay.
And so,
that's
observing
where I'm
it,
confused that it because I was like, it still expands if nobody's watching it.
But then that still doesn't answer the question, or not answer the question, but that still doesn't account for how do the particles or waves know.
I think it goes a step further because we are the creators. So we know how they should react.
Light doesn't exist unless we observe it.
So then
as a particle.
The particle knows it should do this because it knows that I'm creating this world I live in, right? So if we're not observing it, the particle doesn't know anything. Like it just exists. So then as we view things, they then react. So that's where like people come in, like The Secret, like you can create the world you want to live in and blah, 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 blah. Like
right.
There's some truth to that in the sense of like, we've picked our world that we want to live in. We've picked our trials, our struggles.
Yeah. Gosh, dude, because then that makes me think like, well, if I put a camera in the room and recorded the camera, but I'm not currently watching, it's not a live feed,
then
I'm recording it
like it's observed.
Yeah, you can't get around
you
it.
Can't trick it.
Here's the ultimate sense of
bro. That's trippy.
Here's the ultimate sense, in my opinion. This is from Popular Mechanics. So I mean, it's a magazine, whatever. Maybe it's not hard science, but they report on hard science. The meaning is that observing a photon can change events that have already happened. Meaning, so the thing already happened, the event happened, but if you observe it, then it changes it. Scientists are still unsure how this whole thing works. That's where that's the ultimate thing is they don't know. Goes to my thing with like, I'm in a conversation on YouTube with some dude about like, well, God's not real and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, faith, you have faith in being an atheist. I have faith in being God. He's like, it's not faith. That's provable. And my point is, even if you're just a straight up no God.
He can prove that there's not a God?
Yeah, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like,
pretty sick.
I was blown away. He didn't give any proof, but he said he could. but my point is
no
like,
reason
you kind of have to have faith in all of the science too, right? Like not everything's answered.
Right.
And so it's like, I don't really, I used to feel like, I believe in this God. What would I say if someone challenged me on it? Maybe I'm embarrassed by it a little bit. But really, everything is faith. These scientists have faith in what they observe.
Right, what they've learned and how it applies.
This tells me that even if they've observed it and then they change it, like Philly said, they're the creator in some sense, that just shows you have to have faith in that too. Well, I mean, I know that I'm not super smart. and I'm not a scientist, so maybe some scientists are like, well, that's blah, blah, blah. But dude, nothing's for sure.
No,
Except
that's true.
that the Earth is round.
I don't know, man.
Allegedly.
I don't know. I'm warming up to possibilities.
There's this theory.
It's round. It's round if you observe it. It's not if you don't.
Oh, dude, I can't. I'm gonna be not be able to sleep tonight.
So there's this like, the theory. I'm gonna totally screw it up. So then maybe I won't send you the video, so you can't show how right or how wrong I am. But the theory's like, so we exist on the Earth. Sorry, we exist on the Earth, and so like 100,000 light years away, there's an alien ship.
Okay.
And they call, and they talk to us on the phone.
Okay.
They're 100,000 light years away. And then there's like an alien that's like 50,000 years away, and it makes a phone call and it talks to us. And then there's one that's like 1,000,000 light years away, and it talks to us at the same time. For the time to actually get to them, it's all different time, but from their points of view, the time is the same right now. So then that means we exist right now at every time. Like,
dude.
so
well, they've actually done that experiment too, and that one guy who's always talking about how there's no God, I actually watched, he's got that British accent, I can't remember his name.
see the one that was on Joe Rogan that talked about like the UFOs and how they behave. And he's the one that's like, he's like, we live in a society that's insane. He's like, either they manufactured COVID or they didn't. We could find out in an hour, but we don't. And then he's got like all these other theories, and he's like, but we don't. So UFOs are things that we don't understand how they work. But yet if we like put the energy, we could figure it out, but we don't. He's like, that's crazy. Like we live in a crazy time. I like
he talked about another thing where, so in quantum mechanics, which is what we're kind of dabbling in now, your thing with the being far away and stuff. So they've proven now that there can be linked particles who communicate faster than light. So meaning they're at a certain distance apart, and when I can't remember what they alter, but they're linked, so that if they do it to this one, it'll happen to this one
instantly.
But it'll happen instantly, no matter the distance.
See, and that gets into like, there's a rule about light traveling.
Yeah.
But yet the AI system can talk to itself faster than that. That's just the rules that we have to live in.
Right.
But the rules of the map exist.
And so now they're saying that there might be a connection between what Einstein was talking about, which was kind of like the theory of relativity, all that stuff.
Right.
And quantum mechanics, and that quantum mechanics is kind of like the engine of it all. But the thing that holds it together is that Einsteinian thing, and it wraps around it and holds it all together. So it's not like one is true and one's not true. And then it goes to this like, well, light can be a wave or a particle. And what I was thinking about is like, we believe we have souls. What if that's kind of how, so our souls are a wave, our bodies are a particle.
Yeah.
And there's a duality to us. We believe there's duality. I mean, we definitely believe that. Like, there's a physical part of us, and we're down here on the earth in this probationary state, and we're learning.
Right.
And also, we existed for all eternity. Right. But we're in this eternal progression, and both those things are true. And so it's just weird to me as we continue to go through life. Like science keeps creeping towards things that we've believed as a religious body for a long time, and religion is even coming away from a lot of maybe more of those rudimentary beliefs.
Hard fast rules.
And it's just like, I just see this collision coming,
dude. I see,
and that's gonna be freaking so dope.
Well, it's like God's time and our time is different.
Keep your mind
up. How can that be? How can time work differently?
We're definitely gonna need some help. And that's why I'm so glad that we have a prophet.
Yeah.
I always have to. I'm sponsored.
Gotta throw that one out
I think I'm sponsored by President Nelson. It's like, and brought to you by.
Brought to you by.
But I do think about that a lot now, because it's like, well, if what are like that guy on Joe Rogan that's really smart, and I'm in a freaking battle with him of wits, I'll lose.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, look, but that doesn't mean what he's saying is true. It just means that I'll lose that argument.
Right.
But similarly, if we went back in time, when they like closed the patent office, all the people that closed the patent office are like, all inventions that have ever been invented have already been invented.
Yeah.
Those people would have won all the arguments against even if I went back there then.
Right.
Right.
And so the ability to argue and the truth are so different.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm so glad I just have someone I can look at.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is
all right,
like,
is Project Bluebeam real? Nope.
okay,
I
easy.
just looked at
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, dude, is like a lot of the times, like, you can win an argument as long as you and lie, as long as you know your lie better than they know the truth. And you can win arguments left and right that way.
I remember one time. Do you want to hear when that was a true story?
Yeah.
So I went out with my friends. I'm in high school, and I was driving.
You wearing that hat?
No, this actually got it from my reunion. I had a similar hat.
I was like, that'd be sick.
That one to go, and it's in the hat. No, it wasn't that cool. But I remember we went out and we were just we were super bored. So we went to 7-Eleven, grabbed some nachos, dozen eggs, that type of night.
Classic.
You know what I'm talking about?
Hooligan behavior.
It's like, why do they sell eggs at 7-Eleven?
For one reason.
Yeah. So we grabbed a dozen. We're just rolling around. Went to this girl's house, knocked on her door a bunch of times. Her dad came to the door and yelled F words at us, and then we thought it was hilarious. And then we're driving, and I remember Brian Gregory. I can probably say his name.
Yeah. Shout out, Brian.
Brian Gregory
You're past statute limitations.
Throws an egg and drills this car in the windshield. And we're just like, I'm a little nervous. I'm driving, but I still think it's kind of funny. And everyone else is just laughing. And we go around.
Parked car or like on the other side?
No, he's driving towards us.
Okay.
And all of a sudden I see lights in my back. So I have to I'm like driving through freaking neighborhoods like 1 billion miles an hour.
Yeah.
And just stupid teenagers. But we end up getting away. Everything's cool. Everything's fine. I go home, go to bed. And like 2 hours later. And I'm like, this can't be great. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I kind of like try to be, I'll just be super asleep.
Yeah.
And somehow it'll go away.
Yeah.
No, it was the police. And the police had been searching for my car. And it's parked in the street.
Yeah, you didn't think that one through.
So then the police are there, and I'm like, so you just got to believe your lie.
Oh, yeah. You just got to
so
lean in hard.
I hear that the police are there, and I immediately believed that I had not been out.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it. I knew it as true as anything, man. I go out there, and I'm talking to the police and my dad, and I'm just like, no, of course not.
I was home by then.
I was home. What are you talking about? Yeah. I never would do that. Blah, 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 blah.
I never would do that.
And pretty soon everyone basically believes me.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's it. So like, all right, well, sorry to bother you. The door shuts. Please leave. I go back to bed. I'm like, that's weird, Dad.
Boy, this stuff is easy.
Can you believe that guy? And then, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. And everything's cool now. And I'm actually like feeling pretty relaxed. I get back in bed and then like my dad goes to bed and then I hear.
A second time.
And I'm like, oh, it's not great. Again. Go to the door. The cop walks us to the car, and from the O-poop handle in the back seat where Brian freaking Gregory was sitting, there's this gloop of egg just hanging there. And he had thrown one and just hit the freaking roof handle of my car. Didn't tell me. And so there's literally
evidence.
That I had been out egging cars.
And you have to know the cops as they ended. The door closed, they walked away, they go, he's lying. Let's get proof.
So, I mean, it can work, but there's also counter things that can go against, no matter how much you believe it doesn't work. But but I remember thinking in bed, I had a water bed back then because it was like the early 90s. Such a great thing. Even when I heard the knock, I was aligning, believe.
Yeah.
Because I knew I had to freaking win.
Your Benny Jesuit skills.
Yeah, that's right. I'm like, I used the voice on him, dude. I was like,
yeah.
And they're like, oh, he's innocent.
Yeah.
But then they walk on, they're like, what is that?
Yeah, Did he sneeze? They snap out of it by the car.
Either someone has a really bad head cold.
He sneezed.
Or
this is egg.
Or this is egg hanging from the window. God, You know they love that. They're out
Yeah.
being cops in some small town at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
That
They're
was
just like, we don't have any homeless people to beat up.
yeah. We're like Law and Order has nothing on us. And they're like, what's Law and Order? A show that'll be invented in about 4 years.
Oh man.
Law and Order, Kaiser, Oregon. Like, we got him. He thought he could get away.
Oh, man.
Criminal mastermind.
Dun.
Dun, 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 dun. Dude, that would be a great Law and Order. Like just some small town and like
Just
it's
retell
exactly
us.
like Law and Order, except it's like a 16-year-old in his car
Yeah.
lying about egging.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd watch that actually.
Dude, that's so freaking funny.
Yeah.
Oh, my head is still gonna hurt.
Yeah. Ice
On
wall,
that whole
flat Earth.
flat Earth, particles that are self-aware.
The moon's
And-
reflecting land that we have been
So
hidden from us.
much.
I'm kind of like you against the flat Earth. Besides logic, because
Supposed logic.
because though I do want it to be not the reason that they're so defensive of Antarctica is because it's flat. I want it to be because
There's
there's
alien
pyramids
tech.
and alien tech down there that's like
Yeah.
a Stargate.
Yep.
Like they're literally traveling to other parts of the universe.
It could be both.
There are other parts of the.
It could be a
Could
flat
be.
Earth. You go over there, and it's like where all the other civilizations are sharing
Well, there's no, if
information.
it's a flat Earth, there's no honeycomb Earth.
And.
well, it could
No,
because
it
it
is.
could be a disc.
Yeah.
It's like
inside.
it's like
It's like a honeycomb.
Thor's home in the Marvels.
Okay.
So
What was that called? Jotunheim?
And they end a Simpsons episode. And they
yeah,
leave.
Thor's world's flat.
And their like world that they drive out of, it's like a Westworld spinoff, is like a Simpsons dome. And as they're driving across the desert, you zoom out, and then there's like Bob's Burger dome. So it's like a Bob's Burger world.
No way.
And then they have like a Futurama dome, so it's like Bender's helmet. And so there's like all these different worlds.
And there's Dragon Ball Z Dome, who the creator just died. Which
That's
I never
very
watched
sad.
it, but my kids like Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
I guess it's
never got
number
into
one
it.
manga of all time.
All right, well,
There you
I
go.
don't even know what that means, but I'm trying to be cool.
yeah, I don't know. what it
Hey,
means.
kids!
Yeah.
Sports anybody?
Hey there, fellow kids.
Yeah, hey there, fellow kids.
I feel like
Oh,
that
man.
sometimes talking to my team. They're all like 19-year-old kids.
Yeah.
And they say stuff I don't even know what it means.
You're like, yeah, that.
Well, we went a little bit
Yes.
long on that.
That's
That
okay.
was a freaking...
This was a good rabbit hole to go down.
I'm gonna go get some McDonald's and
Air fried. Well, you watch Connect the Dots. Travis, feeling left, but I hope you enjoyed watching. We enjoy making this content. And check out our website. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, formerly known as Twitter. Thank you, Elon Musk. Follow us everywhere and get in the comments. And we're going to keep pumping out fun content like this. And I don't know. You're going to have to decide flat earth or not, ice wall or not. And it freaks me out that particles are self-aware. So,
You know, one thing that'd be cool before you completely sign off is like,
yeah.
let's build this into a $1 billion brand like Twitter and then just throw it away.
And change
name
it.
to why.
Yeah.
Huh?
I don't know who did the marketing on that one. But anyways, we're out of here. Thanks for watching. Adios, you guys.
Go.